Welcome to TeamEDA. In this video we're going to look at a demonstration of our License Asset Manager with the usage monitoring solution. We call it LAMUM. TeamEDA has been around since 2004. We have many fantastic customers that bridge all of the different industry verticals. Although our background is in EDA, electronics design automation, with a lot of semiconductor industries, over the years we've gained many customers across aerospace and defence, but you can see here that we have customers across architecture, engineering, construction, automotive, healthcare, but basically everybody's represented. LAMUM is a comprehensive integrated solution for engineering software licenses. So I like to describe this as a SAM tool on the one hand and then a usage monitoring tool on the other, but it is a combined software solution. So from a SAM or license asset management point of view, it allows us to centralize our license information so we can share, we can protect it from the business, and in here this is where we can list the vendors, the tools, lots of information about each of the licenses and servers. Ultimately, we can store all this information about the renewal information. Within the usage monitoring software, we have extensive reports, graphs, charts, some of which you can see on this page. We also have a FlexLM daemon management tool, which allows us to start, stop and reread, among other options such as viewing license files and options files. We have a whole host of different warnings and alerts. You may want to use this tool to charge back the cost of your licenses to different departments. And ultimately, everything within our tool is designed to make your decision making data driven. So you can then look at making discounts for the different software. When we talk about engineering licenses, we're really talking about CAD, computer-aided manufacturing, simulation, EDA tools, mathematics tools, product lifecycle management tools, maybe model-based system engineering, and there are a whole host of other software out there which is protected by port-at-host style licenses. Some would know that as FlexNet or FlexLM. So in this picture we can see some of the most common software tools that sit within these areas, but literally there are hundreds and hundreds more that we support. How does it work? Well, if you're familiar with the port-at-host style licenses or network licenses, also referred to as floating, you'll have a license server that sits in the middle. You'll have clients that request licenses as and when the application is opened. As part of that license server, something called a license daemon is run that checks whether entitlement is there, so are there enough licenses to be able to hand out. And if that is the case, a license is returned, so it's checked out, as we call it, to the end client location. So for each of these license servers, there's a license file, there's a debug log, and potentially as well an options file which manages entitlement on a text-based level. So the LAMUM server is a separate server, although can be installed on this license server. We run a database and an Apache front end, and that allows us then, we are pulling this debug log information along with an LM stat style information at this server, and we're storing it within our system for further analysis. This LAMUM server can be configured to look at multiple license servers. So you'll only need one LAMUM server to actually maintain and to monitor many different license servers. On the right hand side is some of the most common of these floating network license types. So we support the FlexLM's FlexNet, which is without doubt the most common license mechanism used within the engineering software. We also look after Reprise RLM Sentinel, both RMS and HASP, LUM and DSLS, which are Dassault Systèmes products, Altium, we have parsers for both Altium and their Nexus Vault, LMX, which is an Altair product, Windchill from PTC, MathLM from Mathematica, CodeMeter and Wibu, Atlassian, and Zemax, which is a special Sentinel HASP configuration. So when we look at LAMUM, we can see that it delivers across the enterprise. I like to say that it delivers across three distinct areas or personas within the business. So on the left-hand side, we're looking at the top-level management, maybe the CIO, maybe the software asset management team. They're really interested in compliance. So is the software and the licenses adhering to the contracts? Maybe they're looking at the vendor management, looking at some audit-ready reports, really, and also looking around kind of the overarching view as to whether they can make savings. In the middle then we have maybe the engineering director, kind of system managers. This is where we're looking at the analysis side of things. So within our solution we have a number of tools for looking at live checkouts, but also looking at a whole host of hundreds of different reports around the historical use as well. So in here they're probably looking at the denials, the whole suite of the different charts and graphics that we have to help people understand what they need to do from a renewal point of view. How can they negotiate savings with their vendors? We also have the ability to automate IT chargebacks. So quite possibly you've got a number of different departments. Maybe some of them have bought specific engineering software tools. So we have the tools to be able to charge back based upon usage. And then on the right hand side we have IT admins, maybe your kind of computer aided manufacturing admins as well. So this persona really is looking at administration. So the entitlement, maybe they're managing options files. So we do syntax checking, kind of manage options files there. Critical systems alerts. So that's typically whether there's a system down, but also looking at capacity thresholds. So are we getting close to having too many denials? Are we getting close to capacity? We also have tools that look at the length, the average use, and can move into this active monitoring and active optimization of users. So helping people understand that they shouldn't keep licenses out for any longer than they should do, which allows us to optimize the ratios and squeeze the very best out of the number of licenses we have per user. We can revoke licenses. That's what we have with license harvesting. And we also have a dashboard for FlexLM daemons, which allows us to start, stop, reread, change over the license file and so on. So everything's in this one location. So with that, let's have a look at our toolset then. Okay, so we're presented with a view. Mentioned previously that we're based on Tomcat and we have a MariaDB SQL backend. So if I log into this, it's important to say at this stage we can enter our solution in two different ways. So one, we have a port number which allows us to log in, and that's because we store contractual information in here and potentially financials. We also have a second entry point as well, which let me log in. Okay, so I have logged in to this view, and okay, so what we're faced with at this stage is the license asset manager, and those are the tabs that sit across here. So this is the SAM tool. Once I click on usage, it opens up the second half of our tool, which is known as usage monitoring. So together they make LAM. I'm going to guide us through then this first stage, which is the license asset manager. Then later in the demo we'll be talking about all the features that sit beneath the usage monitoring as well. So we can see then we've logged in, we're on this port 8181, we've got a logo, so this can be your company logo that sits on the right hand side here. Just want to show you then we also have the ability to enter on port 8182. The number's not important, but this, if we simply share this URL with somebody in the company, they would be able to get to this without having to log in. So at this point, I just wanted to highlight then that you might be able to share certain information, certain graphs with your users or other management teams without them having to log in to LAMUM. So without further ado, let's talk about the License Asset Manager with usage monitoring. So initially, let's just start on the right-hand side. We have the ability then to store all the contract information, and we can set this target here to say, let's look at what's expiring in the next 30 days. Which vendor do we need to talk to? So within this demo, we haven't got any contracts which are expiring in the next 30 days. If we look at licenses, so at this stage, we can then have a look at all the different vendors that we have. This is actually just a subset. This is a filtered view. We're simply showing 13 of a total of 69. But just to explain what we've got here, so let's use Cadence, an EDA tool, as an example here. So we own a number of their licenses. We can see the license numbers that we have here. We can see then that we have servers based in Tokyo. It runs on this daemon, which is this port number. Our contract is restricted then to only using these licenses on a local area network within our Tokyo office. We can see that the license is a subscription and it's expiring on this date. Okay, these are a little bit out of date. And also we have somebody who's responsible for that license daemon, and that is this chap here. In actual fact, we can take some filters off, so all of those columns can be filtered. So let's take those filters off, and we can see this complete view then of all of the different software assets that we have. Notice up here that we're talking about Adobe, so Acrobat and Illustrator. LAM isn't able to monitor those, or LAMUM isn't able to monitor those, but it's a SAM tool. So what we've done here is we've just added all the software that we have. We were also talking about Microsoft project, 50 licenses. So it gives you the ability to look after all of this software information and give you that complete dashboard as to what you have, how many you have, how it's controlled, are there any restrictions, how does it work, expiry of your contract, and who's responsible for them. So just to talk a little bit more about vendors then, so using Cadence, continuing with that, so we can create an entry for each of our different vendors. I'm going to click on Cadence. So we can see here then, in our SAM tool, we have the ability to add maybe our non-disclosure agreements, perpetual subscription agreements, so a number of documents that kind of define this vendor. We also have maybe some information on agreed discounts, and we can link out to our intranet pages as well, just for storing further information. So we have the vendor's address, we have the vendor's contact details as well. Certainly during my time, the sales rep and the kind of support reps seem to change all the time, so it's, as I'm sure you can understand, one central location where we can store who we need to contact, what their titles are, phone numbers and email addresses. And then down the bottom here we can have all the licenses that we actually own. So we can create entries for kind of each of these levels. Maybe we have the purchased order that sits next to that, so how we purchased it, the quantities and so on. Even over here at the amount value as well. This is what you'd expect to see within a software asset management tool. And we can, if we go back to this level, we can do some reporting on that as well. So we could do some reports against, show me all the software which have the WAN capability, so global use, maybe all those that are restricted to simply LAN across maybe Tokyo or America or different offices. Show me anything that's node locked or subscription. So we have a whole host of different reports here. So this sits within this kind of CIO level to show me that we're kind of audit ready. A number of these tabs then, we can have different servers that set up then with the different port hosts, so we can just have a quick view to see where all our different license servers are sat. And I think I showed you purchase orders as well, so this would just be an example just to show us. If we click on here underneath, we can just look at how much we paid on this purchase order. Yes, so if we go to, the only thing really to show you here is the settings. So you wouldn't have a login for each of the users you're monitoring. The logins for LAMUM are purely for the managers or the staff who need access to this tool and this data. So at this stage, really, it's people who are looking to store and create this data within here. So the license asset management. So who's an admin who can create these license daemons? A manager is the ability to access a lot of the financial information. Do you get email alerts when things update? And the daemon manager, let's just come on to, is access for FlexLM daemon manager. So as I mentioned previously, it's the ability to start, stop, reread all these FlexLM license daemons. And the benefit here is that you don't have to log into all of your different license daemon servers that sit all the way around the world. You can actually do this all from this location. So under here, we have general information. We can load new license files, have those man-readable, so we can see the exact number of licenses that we had on the existing one, and the licenses that are coming up on the new one, so we can do a comparison. Options files, I highly recommend that you look at options files if you're not aware. We have some great information on our website on this. Options files provide the entitlement to all the different license features for FlexLM. It's a part of FlexLM. It's not something that we've come up with, but what it allows you to do is create groups to either provide licenses to or restrict licenses from. And we have full syntax checking and management of these options files. And we'd have a debug log file as well, so we can access all that granular check-in, check-out information. So this is really a huge benefit to users who are using FlexLM license daemons, which we find is the majority of the license servers out there, to be honest. So yes, this kind of covers off this top line, which is the license asset management tool. And to create a new license monitoring, we simply go in, we can click add new tool, and off we go. We start creating this vendor process. Really simple, straightforward. When we run trials, we can have LAMUM installed and a couple of, maybe 2 or 3 license daemons updated and configured within the hour. It really is a simple and straightforward tool. At this stage then, I'm going to talk about usage monitoring. Okay, so once we click on this opens up what we call the usage monitoring aspect of LAMUM. On the left hand side we have the home area. So this is our dashboard with the most common tools and graphs and charts that we want to see. We have a current tab which deals with the live information, and then from history onwards we deal with a lot of the historical reports. All of these different tabs here give you an updated picture that helps you really understand a holistic view of your tool set as to what you can do around your renegotiation of your renewal, and if you can save some money. So for each of these, you can see we've got history, user, group, heat map, concurrency. These are the most commonly used tools, but under each of these tabs we have more comprehensive tools. Now I'm not going to cover all of these tools in this demo. If you'd like to see a lot of these, then please get in touch for a demonstration and we can talk it more in depth about these, but I'm going to cover the majority of what I can within this short period of time. So just before I go through the live view, I just want to explain what we're looking at in this demo. So in this demo we have AccuRev, and that AccuRev tool is based on an RLM license system. We have one of those license servers. Then you can see that we have 3 MATLAB servers. They're not duplicates. One of these maybe is in the US, one of these is in Germany, and one of these is in India. So these are 3 distinct license daemons running on FlexLM, based in different geographical locations. And again here you can see with NX, so that stands for Siemens Nx, which is a CAD package, and again maybe one of these is in the US and one of these is in Germany. So they're not duplicates, they sit at this level here. We can see that the status is up and running because it's OK and it's green. So we have the ability then to look at live views as well. So if I just click on the overview for these tools. So let's just have a quick look then. So AccuRev, okay, we're looking at the license features that are in use currently within these tool sets. So AccuRev has multiple license features, and we can see we've got 5 licenses in use for both Replica and AccuRev Ent. Chances are if you take one of these out, it's probably required with the other. We can see from a MATLAB point of view that we've got 10 licenses at capacity on this first server, the one in the US, and we've got all 10 in use. Hence we can see that we've got 100% utilization. This one has a capacity of 15, but only 5 in use, and so on and so on. So down the bottom here we can see that with a Siemens Nx, so the Siemens Nx bundle, this might be a Mac 3 bundle maybe, when you take out this, it always takes out a gateway license as well. Hence we see these together, they're the same figures, we can see there's 10 in capacity, 4 in use, and they appear to be duplicated. But that is a feature of the Siemens licensing system, in that whenever you take this bundle out, it always takes this as well. So we would potentially be seeing a whole host of different features here, an awful lot of them. We can click to filter, so we might just want to filter on the NX ones. We can filter on the MATLAB. Just have a look through these. We've also turned zero usage as well, so we're not looking at the ones that aren't being used. We're just looking at those which are in use. So if I click in MATLAB, so this is, let's say, the US one, which is 100%. Let me click on it and go to the current usage. We can see then that we have these 10 users who are currently using it live. This is the username which is reported within the FlexLM daemon system. Potentially, if this wasn't man-readable, maybe this is something which is just a number, whatever your system tracks as. We have the ability to click on here and see the Active Directory information, and that Active Directory information would list out their their name, their location, phone number, email address, and so on. So we can see for each of these users they've got 1 license held, which is important because potentially they could have 2 or more, but these users only have 1. Yep, capacity, all 10 in use. They've got none borrowed. Sorry, there are no available. None of these are borrowed, but if they were, it would show us the duration. So potentially, we see some people gaming the system by borrowing a license for 120 hours, just to ensure that a license is reserved for themselves, and they'll always get it. So, yeah, gaming the system to kind of guarantee your own license is something we see a lot, and actually these dashboards assist us in and assist the system admins in seeing whether the usage is normal or not. Is the license queued? Well, on a lot of the EDA packages, so Cadence, Synopsys, there's a lot of sending jobs away for analysis, and there's a lot of license queuing. So this just shows whether there's a queuing live or not. We can then see the user's machines, which is important because quite often you might have a naming convention for your machines that indicate which country people are in. So let's imagine you had a geographic restriction that said you could only use your licenses within Germany. Well, we know that EDA machines, the prefix of EDA on a machine means they're in Germany. So we can see that's fine. But actually, as you look down the list, okay, why is this user using a machine? MDA could maybe mean India. How's this user using a license when he's based in India? We have the checkout time and the total time in use. So you can see if I click on this toggle on this header, we can then see the people that have been using it the most. So we can see this user's had it out for 1 hour and 46 minutes, whereas this one's only 27 minutes. And this is key to keep an eye on. We do see in several situations customers that have users that are keeping licenses out for a substantially long period of time, which doesn't help with the reporting and the optimization of licenses. So on the right hand side you can see this remove button. Now this remove button is to do with revoking someone's entitlement. By clicking on this button it runs an LM remove command, and obviously the user who clicks on this must have the appropriate permissions to run the LM remove on that daemon manager. So there are some safeguards in there to stop just anybody clicking on this. The idea being that if this user's maybe gone on holiday, so we can look here and see that this license has been checked out for effectively 3 or 4 days. The license administrator can say, okay, yep, this guy has gone on holiday for 3 weeks, or a business trip, or his, maybe he left a license running in a conference room, so they can then click to remove these license features. Okay, if we just go back to current, then we can go to another slightly different view, a view that our customers absolutely love. It's called the gas gauge view, and this just gives a really smart graphical view then of the different licenses that are in use. So we can see, yeah, we're near capacity here on MATLAB, maybe in India. In the US we're kind of fully utilized, but actually in Germany, we're not using it so much at all. So these are great visual cues. So we can actually click in and we get into this kind of same view that we saw before. So there's a number of different ways. If I just go back, it can show us these locations. So yeah, really neat way of looking at that live view as to what's happening, and these auto refresh as well. Some of our customers actually have these up on a big LCD screen in their kind of IT command centers as well. So where the engineering tools are critical to the business, they want to be seeing live refreshing then whether they're getting near capacity. Many of our customers have hundreds, if not thousands, of licenses, and it can be quite key to them to see how they're doing at that stage. If I look then back at the home level here, so we can also access that. So this first column here of real time, if we click on real time, if we go to current usage, it would take us back to what we just saw. I just wanted to show you then this license expiry dates. So just to highlight what we're seeing here, this is MATLAB Demo 2, which is in US. We've got this as the port number and the server name. It's up and running. We can see the FlexLM version number there. If we click on listing expired details, features, well, there's nothing here, so nothing has expired. In fact, let me just go back and do this on one of the Siemens ones. So we can see here that you might have a license that maybe you have some trials of different features, maybe you have there's a number of different reasons why you kind of update your license file. And we can see on this license file then, actually we have a number of expired features. So we can see that we had a number of NX bundles, just one off of these, these expired in these times. So maybe these were some trial in some way. Again, maybe we trialed out some of these features, ideas, integration, that's kind of an old legacy product now. Maybe VisView base, maybe we're doing something with kind of visualization on the server. So, yep, just shows us then anything that's expired, which is super useful. It's a small thing, but people really appreciate it. Now what we're going to move on to is the historical view. So all of these charts here allow us to do what we call an interactive report. So we are going into this system and we are going to build a report on historical data. We also have the ability to create a batch report. So that allows us to create something, a report that's sent to us on a regular basis. But let's come on to those. So let's create a report then. Let's look at the historical data for MATLAB. So we're looking at the historical data for MATLAB. So if we look at the history column, go to graphs. If we click on graphs here, we can see that we've only got one feature that sits beneath here, and this is MATLAB. Now this opens up our history report, so we can see that at the top we have a number of canned time periods. So we can either do today, 7-day, and we've got 30, 90, 180, or you can actually modify this to be any date that you want. We're looking at a duration and a count plot. We'll come back to the extras in a moment, but if we do a full graph then we can see we've got this really nice interactive chart that shows us what's happening. So with the dashed line at the top is our capacity, so we saw earlier that we had 15 MATLAB licenses within the German license server. So we can see then the peaks and troughs as we go through on the different date levels. We've got this line in the middle that shows us the average use, and we can hover around to see the exact usage at any point here. We can go back, and let's just change this to a 30-day because that gives us a slightly different view. And what's important then for these average lines is if we look over a 30-day, 60-day or longer period, we're looking for the average use to stay broadly the same. If we start seeing this kicking up, it could indicate that you don't have sufficient licenses. Again, if you see lots of times when you're at maximum capacity, again, you might be getting denials, and it may be time to start looking at redistributing how people use your software, different time periods. Teams could be working in different ways to kind of maximize the ratios, or you may need to buy more licenses. So this is a great chart for this kind of interactive view. We can click on this download image and that will export this out as a JPEG or a PNG. Or we can create a batch report. So a batch report means a report that we want to receive on a regular basis. So if we wanted to receive this 30-day view of MATLAB, we can click on create batch report. It creates us a new tab here. And I'm going to create this new report. It's going to be called, let's start with 30-day MATLAB. It's a graph. Remember I said everything is a unique URL, so that this is the URL that guides us to that graph. I want to receive it weekly. I want it as an email, although you can see we also have the option to put the data in a folder, especially if it's a chart and a table. Again, monthly, quarterly, yearly. And I'm going to put in my email address, which that isn't my email address, paul@teameda.com. And it was created by myself. And if I add this report, you'll see it will appear down the bottom here within all these different batch files that we actually have, batch reports that we have. Okay, going back here. So that was a history graph for MATLAB. Let's just have a quick look at one for Siemens Nx. And the reason I want to show you this is because the Siemens license file actually has a number of different license features. So underneath here we can see all the different increments that appear on the license file. Now Siemens Nx has this concept of a bundle, and they quite often call these Mac 1, Mac 2, Mac 3. But let's say this is a Mac 3 bundle. Not only does it show the bundle, it also shows all the different increments underneath it. Now why is that important? Well, it's important because there's a big cost difference between a Mac 1, 2 and 3, and we can actually show you all the historical use against all these different features beneath here. So you can actually do some analysis to identify whether owning a Mac 1 bundle or Mac 3 bundle, is worth it. So you might identify that you've got a Mac 3 bundle, which is very expensive. You only use a small subset underneath here. You don't use the features that really differentiate it between the Mac 2 and the Mac 3. So you could identify then that you could be able to downgrade to Mac 2 bundles. You can also see here we've actually renamed a few of these. Rather than just this kind of Mac 3 with the name underneath it, we've made it a bit more man-readable. So using feature name aliasing, we've renamed this as NX Mac 3 Drafting. Just makes it easier, and it appears in all the different reports. So if we look at the NX bundle here, we can see again we've got the 7 days. Let's change this to 30 days. So we can see, yeah, we've got these average lines in here. We can actually change this to a square if we wanted it to, just so we can kind of get a slightly different view. But I want to show you the scaling as well. Scaling this view allows us to actually just grab and drag and zoom in on a certain area down here, so we can actually look in a bit more detail around certain areas. You might then decide to go back and change the time frame to look at the day. Down the bottom here we have some top 10 pie charts, so the duration, how long people have actually had this open for. So you might have, in reality you might have 50 or 100 of these licenses, so it allows you to see then the person that's using it for the top 10 longest amount of time. And the one beneath that is for the checkout, how often they've opened it up. Now, the reasons our customers love these is because going back to the different features that sit beneath the license file, so it might be drafting, might be some kind of stress analysis, some expensive module that sits beneath each of our license features. It allows you to see then who's using it. So that could be to locate a key user. So this guy's using it most of the time. He could be a great person to locate as a key user. Also for upgrade testing as well. So say you're going to upgrade from one version of NX to the next, or SolidWorks or Solid Edge or something. You could go in, see who's using which of the license features, and you can identify who's a good candidate for actually doing some user acceptance testing. Also, customers love this because if they've trained some people up, they've done some expensive training to train people in different features. So it might be to do with some kind of high quality rendering within Siemens Nx. They can have a look in there, see who's using it, and why isn't this person using it when we've actually paid for their training? So, yep, really useful to look at the historical side of things. So that's history, and you can imagine looking at all these different license features allows us to create literally hundreds of different reports. Okay, I'm going to look at the next one, which is user table. So again, let's look at the Siemens Nx, and we can see then, again, so we've got the time period. So this report shows us all the users that have used this software feature within the last 7 days. Okay, I could just change that to 30 days should we want to. In fact, I don't think it's changed that much, but the periods are a bit longer. So we can then see, if we toggle on here, total usage, so we can see we've got 22 users. We can see this because it's written up the top. So 22 users have used this over the last 30-day period. So this is the usage time, this is how often they've done it, they've checked out, and we can see this informs this kind of chargeback percentage as well. So all the different people we've simply added up to create this 100%. Now if you know that this module costs you $50,000 in maintenance every year, you can put in 50,000 and we can see that we've kind of allocate this per user. So we've got a cost there. So that's an interesting one there. So also, if you wanted to do some kind of other analysis, maybe you wanted to add different charges like an IT overhead, we can export this out to Excel. So if we do this will actually crunch this and push this out to an Excel file, which is downloaded for you. We can create a batch report as we did before, so this is really useful one to have on a weekly or monthly basis. And we can click to add this to favorites. And what that does is, rather than constructing this report every time, so coming in, locating this, locating the 30 days, we can simply say, let's add this to my favorites, and this is going to be an NX 30-day user report. And I can add that. So now next time I come into my favorites, we could go down to this and we could click click on here, and it's going to take us back to this report every time. So it's just a quicker way of getting back to these kind of favorite reports. Okay, so let's just go back. Let's go back home. So that's the user report. We can also, under users, actually we can find the details per user as well. Just show you quickly. So we might find Mr. Donahue, 7 days, what have they been doing? So because we track everything, okay, this is purely a MATLAB user, but if they're using MATLAB and NX and other tool sets, you'd be able to see on this kind of chart all the entities that they're using. So again, it's really useful to see per user what tools they're using. Okay, we have the same thing for groups as well. And before I show you this group table, we can create groups from Active Directory. So the majority of our users have Active Directory groups related to their company departments kind of users. But of course some in this matrix world, matrix organization world, that sometimes Active Directory groups don't really fit the bill. So you can actually go in and construct some groups. So we can either do this by importing or exporting Excel files and kind of creating lists of groups. But if we wanted to create a group, so let's say you've got a group of ANSYS users. If we edit this, you can see these are all the people that have been monitored within our tool set, kind of across all time. So we can actually go in and say, yep, these people have just joined us, they're going to be using ANSYS, so I'm going to update that group. Okay, and there's a number of tools in here that allow us to create groups, manage the groups, check which users are in which, we could see which groups this user's in. We can quickly add users to a group. Yeah, so we can see that this user here, A. Wotton, is across these groups. And we can view lots of different information in here as well. So which users are not in any group, which is a really useful one to see. So that allows us then, once we've set up these groups, to then go in and do a group details. So again, let's go back to this NX, and we can see we've got a whole host of different departments here. The departments are using it at different times, and we can see this chargeback percentage. Really useful if a department has paid for one of the modules, an expensive module, we can get that kind of chargeback percentage. Again, same options of pushing out to Excel to do more analysis and favorites. Okay, moving on to heat maps. Heat maps is a really interesting one. So if we click on heat maps here, so this gives us a kind of a graphical representation of when users are using this software, these license features. So over a 7-day period, we're seeing a distribution here. So we can see some interesting entities here. So dark red means that there's been a lot of use. Dark blue means that there's been no use, or very little use. So we can see immediately on Tuesday at midday, something's happening, no one's on the system. But actually, a little bit longer, kind of between about 9 and 11 on a Wednesday, there's not many people on as well. And certainly in my background of being a CAD and PLM manager, you might see some town hall meetings or some chief engineer meetings where everybody is out of the system. I mean, if you're looking to optimize your licenses, really what you're looking to do is kind of get a nice orange, clear distribution that go throughout. You might see some peaks. These peaks might be because people need to release all of their work for a design review at 5 o'clock or something like that. So peaks quite often come about when people are having to release data, maybe in Teamcenter or Enovia, and the blue chart seems to come when maybe there's meetings and not on system. But actually working with management teams, you can try and redistribute people, so maybe not everybody has to attend a meeting, and we can get kind of better usage, because these peaks could lead to denials, which we can have a look at. But yes, obviously we can look at different day frame days as well. Okay, 30 days, well, that kind of gives us a better impression. Always interesting. Concurrency. This is a really interesting graph, and again helps us kind of look at the distribution of usage. So let's go back to these Mac 3 users. So we can report on 24/7 usage, but actually I think doing a Monday to Friday 8 till 5 is a bit more realistic. Or if your day starts earlier and finishes earlier, then you can modify them in here. But what we're going to look at then is a Monday to Friday 8 till 5 30-day view. And let's explain what we see here. So we're showing the probability or the percentages of usage for all of our different licenses. So we know that we've got 15 licenses for this Siemens Nx bundle, and we can see that all 15 licenses have been in use just under 7.5% of the time. In fact, most often it's kind of at 11. But when I look at this chart, I can see a lovely even distribution, and we can see all 15 are in use. What we often see at customers is, let's say they've got 50 licenses. We often see quite a nice distribution to begin with for the first 30 licenses. Then it kind of drops and tails off a bit, and maybe the top 10 licenses are never used. Now, if you've got the data, you've tracked the data, and you kind of get to 180 days, and we do the same thing here. If we look at this and we see that those same top 10 licenses have not been used in half a year, you have to ask yourself, why are we paying maintenance or subscription for those licenses? Could we look to trade those licenses in for something else that could be more useful? Or yeah, just stop paying to save ourselves money. So that's how we go about optimizing licenses. So concurrency is a really great graph for visualizing how people use it. Denials. Okay, so if we look at denials, okay, so this is where we take the debug log file, we pass that information, and we pull all these statistics as to how many denials we've had. So I'm going to have a look then. So July this year, we've had 6 denials to do with this module. Okay, 222. Let's have a look on the 19th. And on the 19th, we can see that we had this user couldn't get in at this time, so midday, and it was the classic error of licensed number of users already reached. There are a couple of different types of denials, but this is by far the most common. So we've got other ways, we've got other different reports as well. We can do it by location, maybe it's the US, Germany, or India. We can do a denial heat map. So again, let's have a look at denial heat map and generate this. So let's have a look at the zero usage. So this is a table, and for the NX licenses. So if we've got the data, we could look at a whole year's worth and just see what license has not been used. So a zero usage. If I click on this, okay, we have a look down, and this can be a really interesting view. So we've got 51 licenses that have never been used. We're showing the first 30 here, so we can see, okay, these integration licenses have never been used. Notice this one I've changed. We're using feature name aliasing, say do not trade in, because although this is a license that's never been used, it is a key part of the Teamcenter product. But you can see some of these entities underneath this Mac 3 license. These have never been used, so it begs the question, should you be using, have you got the correct bundle together? So if I then go back to home and have a look at the averages report, this is the next one. So if I look at table, and if I just submit this on a 7-day, so this looks at the number of times people have used these tools and creates an average time frame. So we can see that this NX bundle then, we've got 15 licenses being used by this. So but the average use is about an hour long. Okay, 13 times at maximum, an average of 7 people at any one time. Now we link this in with an alert system, and just running through the alerts in a second, but I just wanted to highlight this long checkout alert. So we see here that we've got an average use of an hour. If we go down then and have a look at this alert, we might want to set up an alert that says, well, hold on, if people are using this bundle and they've used it for, let's say, 3 hours, then we can actually send a warning to the end user. And the warning would say, you've been using this for 3 hours, the average time is an hour, please check this back in. Okay, and this is part of our active license ratio optimization. We could also enter some details in here for this to be emailed to one of the administrators. Going back to the alerts then, we have capacity threshold, so maybe we're getting close to the number of licenses we have, so you could set this at kind of 90 or 95% and an email sent. Denial threshold, so again, maybe you're having way too many denials, so we can set an alerts to be sent there. Available license, so that's an interesting one. Possibly you've only got 1 or 2 licenses of a very expensive add-on module, so users can actually sign up to be told when the license becomes available. Daemon down, so that's obviously when the license daemon is down. You want to be told when that's happening, so that's more of an admin tool. Expiration, so as we said earlier, on your license file you might have some demos or some trials. You might want to be alerted 30 or 60 days before that they end, so you can get in contact with your vendor and negotiate that. And the duplicate license checkout alert is, well, typically we find this is when somebody has on their desk, they've opened maybe SolidWorks, but also they go down to their lab and they're doing some kind of analysis there, and they open SolidWorks there as well. So this just is a report that highlights a user that is using the same license in multiple locations. We've just talked about the long checkout as well. Okay, so that's the alerts system, and let's just then talk a bit about batch. So we talked about those multiple batch reports that we saw set up. So these are these weekly, monthly different reports. Under here we can also export out all the user activity. So we might just, maybe we want to do some further analysis using a bigger kind of analysis tool, maybe Power BI or Tableau or something like that. So we could then say, let's take 30 days worth of data. We can pull out some Active Directory information as well. So this appends who the users are, their real names, their phone numbers, their email addresses. And we can pull this out via JSON and via kind of a CSV format as well. We also have this tool called Multigraph View Select. And if I look at this for these NX tools that we've been looking at, we can see, let's just turn off this denial heat map here and the 24/7 concurrency, but we've got 8 different graphs that we can have on this dashboard. So I'm just going to submit this. So we can see then over the last 7 days, so we get this kind of interactive chart, we get these top 10 views, we get the heat map we've looked at, the concurrency view, and the number of users we have as well. And you can set that as a batch report as well. So we can have those graphs appear either 7 days, 30 days, and so on. So yeah, that's a really quick overview then of the different tools that we have. Now I just wanted to show you, this was the port number that we could share with people, and they could get different views. One of the really interesting things is we can construct our own gas gauge view. So we could actually just say we're only interested in MATLAB, and then down the bottom here we can select a gauge display. So we've constructed our own dashboard that only shows us the MATLAB users. Now if we copied this URL and sent that to either the users of MATLAB or a manager that's related, when they click on this URL, they'll always get back to this view. So really useful, really powerful bit of kit here. So I'm just going to switch back then to the presentation. And the next point to note really is that data accuracy is key for us. You know, you live and die by your product accuracy. So we've worked with some of our big customers on accuracy because over the years maybe they've been using some in-house tools. So lots of these kind of LM stat tools that just do the kind of check in, check out. And we've discovered that they kind of overstate usage sometimes by as much as 150%, which is horrifying, really. We take this really seriously, and we have our kind of own algorithms that kind of double check all the work that we're doing here, where we pass the data as well. So, yep, data accuracy is key to us. So, a summary then as to what you've seen here. Firstly, within the LAM application, we have a comprehensive inventory asset management tool. Secondly, then, on the second row down, we've seen that we've got a really comprehensive usage reporting, literally hundreds of different reports, and all of those different reports kind of create that holistic view for your renewal management. Next, you know, we have on-demand usage reports. It's easy to create these batch reports as well, and we've just run through the different alerts. It's important to note that our FlexLM Daemon Manager just makes things really easy without the need to log into different systems all around the world. And feature name aliasing is simply the ability to rename the different license features, but I have to say it's one of the features that our customers absolutely love, because there are some license features, like in Mentor Graphics, which are simply 100, 200, 300 and are not man-readable. It is fair to say then, I mentioned throughout the demo, that actually the installation is really easy. So to install and to configure a couple of the license daemons is about an hour, and we do this on a conference call with you, guide you through the stage, so you can then go ahead and create the others. If you needed to upgrade the software, again, it's a one-button install, super easy, and it takes way less than 15 minutes to upgrade. We've got some fantastic resources. If you click on Help in LAMUM, or if you go to the TeamEDA.com resources library, it's searchable, and we store all of our kind of help and white papers and technical information there. We do offer the ability to have an on-site implementation package. Although it is quick and easy to install, possibly you want to have a best practices workshop, you want to set everything up, we can make sure it's fully optimized. We can talk to you about, in a bit more detail, I guess, about the backups and so on. So it's well worth having some kind of implementation package if you want. Customer support, well, we're super proud of our customer support. We run a DevOps team based in the US. So if you do if you do have an issue, you're talking to a developer. So these are the guys and the girls that actually develop this product. So you'll always have that kind of expert view as to what's happening. So yeah, we have a network of salespeople that sit around the world. So they probably do the first level, and the second level response here is there. And we have a fantastic response time on that. So the value proposition, we say that we claim that you can save around 20% on annual costs of your kind of engineering software. So whether that's CAD, CAM, simulation, EDA tools, PLM. And we'll explain on the next slide how we go about doing that. But basically, this is a huge payback. So with our solution, we can help you save 20% on your existing licenses, which is a huge payback, return on investment on what you're achieving. We help you with the efficiency of use of your existing engineering software. We have a number of best practices and help you with that methodology for you to really be able to optimize your licenses on a continuing basis. And the key element is really for you to be able to consolidate and share critical information with each of your team members. So how do you find those 20% savings? Well, it's everything we've looked at in this demonstration, all the different reports, that holistic view of all the different charts, graphs, and the software asset management tools that we've discussed. To accurately know what you have, where it's being used, it gives you a better preparation to negotiate with your vendors. You're tracking the actual usage, the averages, the trends. We're looking at some important reports such as zero usage, just for you to really understand what's not being used, what could be traded in potentially. Looking at the different heat maps and so on, and the long checkouts for you to improve the usage, move into that active license optimization, and really understanding denials as well. There are true denials, but also just because you're receiving denials doesn't mean you need to rush out and get more licenses. It could be that you could simply redistribute some of your team to get better use out of it. So for all of these reasons, this is how our customers save 20% on their licensing. So I'd like to thank you for your time. Please reach out to us at this number or info@teameda.com for a 30-day free trial or for another demo. Thank you.